So I want to take a moment to actually talk about a different sort of game that I don't normally play, and this one is called Minami Lane. Released on February 28th of 2024, this is a management sim. The storefront on Steam says that you can unlock and customize buildings, manage your shops, and your goal is to maximize the happiness of your villagers to complete quests and fill your street with love. Now, I obviously didn't really have super high expectations for this game because when I got it, it was on sale and it was only about $4 USD. In total, it generally costs a little bit more, around $5, but even then, it's really not a lot. But the style really got me. So looking at a game like this, I immediately thought of something like Animal Crossing, or some other sort of small idle game, kind of like The Sims, maybe like a tycoon game, where basically you're just managing resources and you're just trying to keep everybody happy. And honestly, when it comes to Minami Lane, that's basically what you get. What I didn't really expect is the missions. The missions is kind of what threw me off. So, upon starting a new game, my idea was that you were just going to be sitting on the same street, you were going to spend time upgrading your buildings, kind of maximizing what they could do, maybe unlocking new features of those buildings, your typical tycoon-like setting. But what I got instead were the missions, and each mission kind of had you starting over from scratch, which I felt was a very interesting and a very unique take. So, basically, the first mission just tells you, hey, your goal is to create a boba shop, and then when you create that boba shop, then you have to create, like, the perfect recipe with that boba shop. So, anytime you start a day, before you start that day, you can make a building. Now, if you have enough money, you can set a building down. If you don't have enough money, you can just start the day. While you're in this pre-day kind of menu, you can then go in and change some things about your buildings. Anytime you open a shop, you will have options as far as what that shop sells, or the recipe, if it's something like a ramen shop, boba shop, and even the florist has this sort of thing. So, take the ramen shop, for example. You can change the recipe of the ramen shop. You can decide, does it have pork? Does it have shrimp? Do you want more noodle, less noodle, more egg, etc.? And you can also change the price of everything. So you can basically make it more expensive, or you can make it more affordable. And this is obviously going to change the overall satisfaction of the customers that you're going to get. Same with the boba shop. You can say that if you want cream, or more tea, or less sugar, or more tapioca, and those sorts of things. Now, there are shops that are available, like the karaoke bar or the supermarket, and instead of a recipe for these things, you are then supposed to pick 3 items. And those 3 items, when people go shop there, they'll say, oh, I bought one thing I liked, or they'll rave about a specific item, letting you know that that item is something that the people really enjoy. So it starts out pretty simple like that. Not only are you focused on creating the perfect recipes and the perfect shopping experience, but also you want to make sure that the residents don't feel as if the village itself or the lane is too bland. And that's also something that's extremely important. So there's also these extra sort of services like parks and onsens, which add a beauty factor. And the beauty factor actually makes people happier. So in between wanting to build, actual shops and services to earn money, you're going to want to spend some of that money for the parks. So it starts off really simple like this, where it's just a ramen shop, you build a park, you change the recipe until people are happy, maybe you build a second one, who knows, and then eventually you build the boba shop, and then mission 1 is done. Well, then the slate is wiped clean, and you go to, I guess, a different section of Minami Lane, and you'll find that each mission that you take on, there's going to be optional quests, such as raising the beauty so that 4 cats come and visit your street, or making it so that there's more young people living there rather than elders living there, creating the perfect recipe twice in, 2 different shops, that sort of thing. The optional quests are really fun, and they give you that extra level of challenge, because given enough time, Minami Lane is not difficult. There is really just no difficulty factor to the game at all. It is one of those games that you could basically play completely blind and just let it run itself, and eventually I think you'd get somewhere. And if you actually put in the effort, then it's very easy to do these optional sort of things. Now, the optional content isn't really all that difficult. I found that usually it just came down to getting something done within a certain number of days, or it really just kind of restricts how many buildings you can have on your street. It'll say, hey, complete this goal with only 6 buildings, or complete this goal with less than 9 buildings. Complete this goal within 15 days, or something like that. So it's a really cute game. I love the style of it. I love the music of it. Like I said, it does remind me of Animal Crossing. It's one of those really idle things. So as you play throughout the days, basically customers are going to go to your shops, and they're going to have little thought bubbles. Again, this is very tycoon-like. And when you click on them, they're going to give you hints as to how you can proceed. Take the florist shop, right? They'll go into the florist shop, and then they'll come out and they'll have a flower symbol. You'll click on the people, and then they'll say, I wish there was less daisy in here. So then, for the next day, you can then put more or less daisy in the bouquet, and then see what they say the day after that. And maybe they'll say, oh, I wish there was more rose in there. And then you have to go in the next day and add more rose. It really does kind of make it a slow process, because it would be nice to be able to adjust these things as you're actually playing. I think that the fact that you can only update these things at the end of the day does add a bit more of the challenge to it, since you want to try and find the perfect recipes as quickly as possible. But later on in the game, this actually becomes easier, because you can hire services of Emma the Tanuki, and they basically just kind of give you the answers a lot easier than what you could do otherwise. I do like the fact that later on you can actually save the opinions of the villagers, and you can essentially kind of keep those as hints. But I just kind of kept it simple. While I was playing, I had a little notebook, and I would kind of write down little notes, and I would say, okay, more noodle, less pork, that sort of thing. Too expensive. And it really did help the experience. I will say, for as charming as the game is, I just wish there was more customization options. So you do unlock building upgrades later on, and you kind of have to choose between 2 different things. You can either add marketing to your store in order to increase the amount of people that go there, or you can add a beauty factor. Like I said, beauty brings in more cats, it makes people happier, so you're kind of having to juggle, do I want people to be happier, or do I want to make more money so that I can buy more shops? So there is a little bit of a tactical sense to this. You have to think logically and rationally about what direction you want to go in. Likewise, I just wish the buildings just had more customization in general and how they looked. There's 5 roof colors and 5 base colors, and you can choose between 3 roofs for most of the establishments. So there are some customization options, but, and this is going to sound so picky of me, I just honestly found most of them to be really ugly. These would not be the colors that I would choose. The color palette is very, not even sepia, it's very brown. It has a lot of warmer tones and stuff, and I'm a person, I like my bright blues, my pastels, and there is some of that. There's blues and pinks and greens, but it's just everything's kind of locked behind this sunset filter, and so the color just seemed very drab to me. And so I just wish there was more that I could do to kind of just make these sort of things pop. The music, like I said, super, super charming, and I loved it, but it is way too short, and it loops way too much. It's cute, and the game is actually really short itself, so I didn't really notice it too much, but I think that if I went back and I played it on sandbox mode, then I would notice the looping music a lot more. And that's really another thing that kind of comes down to, there's a sandbox mode, which does give you 2 different modes of play. You could do planner mode, which restricts your money and kind of gives you building requirements. You have to meet milestones in order to unlock buildings, which I think is really cool. That's more of the mode of play I kind of expected from Minami Lane. And then you have creative mode, which gives you a lot more money, gives you 0 building restrictions. And I honestly feel like at the end of the day, this would kind of just, I guess give you another 2 hours, and that's probably it, if you got even 2 hours. Because really just there's only 12 services that you can actually purchase, and that's not a lot. So I don't really understand what you would do in creative mode, except max out your street happiness and then just kind of leave it at that and let the daily events kind of just change the way you play a little from time to time. The daily events is a cute system, so later on in missions you will unlock the news, which then will kind of change the way things work in your town, or your lane, I guess. Sometimes you'll gain money, lose money. Sometimes the elders will decide that, they have a new favorite boba recipe or a new karaoke selection, or, sometimes there'll be no cyclists that day. It's really random what it does, and you never really know. And like I said, if you have the perfect ramen recipe and then all of a sudden it says, oh, the youths have a different ramen recipe now, then you have to go and figure that all out again, which, it's not really frustrating, but if you're trying to do something within a certain amount of days, again, it just kind of poses that extra bit of challenge. Not that the game is very challenging. But I guess the other thing that I want to say, other than the game being adorable and very easy, the controls are very comfortable. It's basically just pointing and clicking at things. So you'll click on garbage to pick it up. You'll, click on little hidden items to make Emma appear to get some coins. You can click on cats to pet them, and you can click on cyclists to get some money. Anything that you do within the game is just all point and click. There's no, you don't need a controller or anything like that. There's no complex controls which require keyboard input, unless you want to change the name of your shop. So, like I said, controls are very, very comfortable. This is one of those perfect little idle games that you can kind of just get lost in if you just want to wind down after a long day. It's nothing super serious. With that being said, there are only 5 missions, and I think that the missions are extremely, extremely short. So the final mission has you trying to recruit the yokai to come and live with you. And, Emma being a sort of yokai spirit or whatever, this kind of makes sense. And I think the yokai are adorable. I loved seeing the kappa, the kitsune. I loved seeing them in the town. But recruiting them, I didn't really understand what it required to recruit them. It seemed like you just needed more shops, more happiness, but at the same time, it couldn't be more happiness because you have to have 100% happiness just to build the tree, which kind of recruits them. So again, I'm not really sure what you were actually supposed to do to recruit them. I still did it. I managed to get all 12 services, have 4 yokai, I beat the mission, whatever. And then you just kind of get the credits, which the credits were very cute, and you got some really adorable music. And then at the end, you got a screen basically saying thank you for playing. But again, that was 2.5 hours of an experience for $4. Now, $4 is not expensive. I'm not going to say it is. But if the game were even more expensive, I would hope that there is more content. I am glad that I got it on sale. I think that $4 is actually reasonable since, I played for 2.5 hours. I got 16 out of 20 achievements. And, again, there's really not a lot of replayability to the game. It's all the same missions. You'd probably do all the same things. Since I did all the optional quests and beat everything out of the get-go, minus getting, over 50 villagers or something like that, which I can do with sandbox mode, I don't really understand why I would want to go back unless they do add more content. So, the game was cute, and I liked the challenges, so I really did want to play more, but like I said, there's really just no incentive. As far as recommendations for the game, I think that if the game were to be better, I really wish that there was a story. I don't know who I am. I don't know who Emma is. I don't know why we're trying to build up Minami Lane. I don't know why Minami Lane is so special or why Emma wants to rebuild it in the first place. I don't understand the significance of having yokai live with humans unless, it's just a peace thing. Emma says something about Minami Lane being literal heaven, and I don't really understand. So, and I don't think, it's obviously not a translation issue or anything like that. I don't believe that it is. It's just, since the game is so short, I think that there could have been more love and care given to at least giving a little bit of a story. Maybe we're a wanderer that just kind of wandered on Minami Lane, and then Emma recruits us because, Emma's trying to, trying to get us to help with the yokai human situation, or, there could have been something wacky inserted there. There's plenty of potential for something that is hilarious and wholesome, and I just think that they didn't really take that opportunity. Also, even though the days pass one at a time, and you're really never gonna go over 30 days, I think, even with the final mission, I beat it in under 30 days. Even if you're not going to go past 30 days, I think that maybe, just maybe, they could add something more for the sandbox mode. More events, maybe some seasons, maybe holidays. I think that there's a lot of potential for the sandbox mode, or the free play mode, and I might actually come back to the game and play it more if there was that sort of thing. I would love to see more animals. I mean, I love that there's cats, but I would like to see dogs. If you leave your trash, it'd be interesting if they added pests like rats or something that would come and steal the trash. These are all things that I think that could be implemented that, would require like a pest control, or would require a little bit more effort, or else your satisfaction, your happiness would start to fall. Again, I'm thinking of it more like a tycoon game, and I think that if there was a little bit more of these things added, then the game would be a little bit more worth it, in my opinion. But overall, it's a really relaxing time. It's a fun little game, and I would honestly recommend it for the price if you're looking for something just to wind down with. Again, it's super short, so for those with a busy schedule, it's not going to take up a lot of your time, and I found it just to be really just super adorable, and it had enough that it held my attention for the 2.5 hours. But again, I think long-term wise, I don't really see a lot of replayability, and I'm not really sure what else they could add at the moment to make me want to come back. But with enough content being added, then I would definitely kind of come back and take another look at this adorable game. But hey, let me know what you think in the comments. If you've played Minami Lane, or if you have other games that you play like it, let me know about them. I don't generally play these sorts of games. I do play tycoon games from time to time. I like tycoon mobile apps, and when I was younger I did play, Roller Coaster and Zoo Tycoons, that sort of thing. But if you have other little management sims like this, I'd be willing to give them a look, especially if they're a decent price and if they have, decent amount of content or whatever. But I would definitely recommend this for what it is. Again, it's only $4 right now on Steam, and with how comfortable the controls are and with how simplistic the style is, it's not going to take a lot to run. I only ran into one bug where the elders stopped going to one of my ramen shops, but even then it didn't really even seem to affect the game. So it wasn't really something that was game breaking for me. Other than that, it ran very, very smooth. It was very pleasant to play, and I definitely think that you should check it out. So thank you all for tuning into my videos, and thank you all for your continued support on this channel. If there's anything that you want me to cover in the future, feel free to let me know, and let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. But until then, I will see you all in the next video. Alright, ciao you guys.